Let's roll.
Fly. Like the song.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, good to have you. First thing, well, we're still new in this 2026. It's great to see everyone. Hope you have a good start. I know we're gonna have a good start at the Geopolitical Forum because thanks to Casey, who's hosting us, we have this gathering to talk about our country and international relations. So Casey today is not only the host, he's also a speaker, and above all, he's the candidate of U.S. Senate from Illinois. And he's running for primary in March, and hopefully the general election in Illinois in November. So a lot has happened this year, only 10 days into the year, and also the world is entering multipolar world order. So there's a lot going on here, and I hope everybody's thinking about how you want the U.S. to be in the future, as well as how you want Illinois to be and how you want the United States to be for the future, at least for the next Senate term. So we will have Casey to tell us about it. I have listened to Casey before. He has a lot of common sense. He has passion for this country, for this state. So let's hear from him. And afterwards, we're gonna have Q&A, and then we can mingle and shake hands with the candidates and some free-form questions and socialize. All right, let's have it for Casey.
Well, thank you very much for a kind introduction. And first of all, I'd like to welcome you to our campaign headquarters, because that's what it really is. That's where our campaign offices are. That's where we're going to be operating for the next 2 months. But first of all, what I want to do.
7 months out of November.
Well, let's do the first things first, okay? I know you have an eye on November. I have an eye on November.
We all do.
If I don't exist in March, I don't exist in November. So I might like to do it step at a time. Okay?
First things first.
Yeah. First things first, okay? Exactly. Thank you. Nonetheless, let me explain you what I want to do briefly. First, I would like to explain who I really am. Okay, so I will give you a little bit of an intro, where I come from, etc. Then I'm going to explain a little bit about my program for the campaign, because as you see here in big letters, Magna Mula, I hope it means something to you. Magna definitely should, Mula, not everybody understand it, but Magna is stands for actually domestic policy, Mula is for foreign policy. So I'll try to explain that to you. And then I'll actually concentrate, and that's I want to make sure that you understand it. I know it's about, group is about foreign policies and foreign policy, and it's very, very interesting topic. Everybody loves it, I do too. But I want to make sure and understand that I'll be concentrating the rest of my campaign on Magna, which is domestic policies, because that's about affordability, giving money back to the people. Foreign policy, Mula, it's a very challenging issue, but I'll address it. And obviously, I would like to also see your input. So first of all, who I am. Well, my name is Casey Chlebek, and I was born and raised and educated in Poland. That's my rendition from a couple of years back.
Good.
Nonetheless, in 1967, I came to the United States literally a week after my graduation from high school. And I already had some knowledge of English, but my English was actually true English. So I spoke with English pronunciation. That got me into many times in trouble, but nonetheless, I Americanized my English, which I think is actually somewhat simpler, I would think. So today I can speak with American English. Nonetheless, I went to college. I graduated with a degree in engineering, but actually, even though I had a degree in engineering, information engineering, I never worked a day in my life in engineering.
Beautiful.
How about that? Reason is very simple. 1972, when I graduated, there was a depression. no jobs anywhere. No one was looking for engineers anymore. But I had about half a dozen different languages, programming languages in college, because my actually minor was computer science, and that's where I got a degree in computer sciences, engineering. And I said to myself after 2 months of walking the streets, come on, Casey, you have to do something. You know half a dozen languages, and you can speak different language, which everybody understands, and it's called coding, whatever, programming. Nonetheless, I really opened Yellow Pages, and there was a Hertz employment agency, made a call. In the first call, the guy lined up to me 2 organizations where I can fit with my experience that I have, because I was working for researchers from Poland when I was at the university. I was actually translating his work that he was doing, a doctoral work, from Algo to Fortran. But nonetheless, I explained my position and landed a job like 2-3 days later, okay, which was one of the 2 companies or 3 companies that suggested. So that was my humble beginning, okay, and after the graduation, and then subsequently I actually took jobs in, at that time, called data processing. Today we call it IT, information technologies. And ever since, I worked in IT technologies. Initially, it was in the radio. Now, if anybody remembers that radio, for about 2 years, no, you know, I'm sorry. First one, I worked for those Aldens. Was Aldens. I worked about 2 years. Aldens. It was like a Sears catalog, the same.
Well, it's a corporation name.
Yeah, the Aldens Corporation. And they were located near Cicero and Roosevelt, but they went debunked. Then I got a job with Zenith Radio. I worked for about 10 years. Probably everybody knows about Zenith Radio. And after Zenith Radio, I got a job with Northern Trust, with a bank, Great Lady of the South.
Were you downtown?
That was downtown, and I worked for over 20 years with them.
Oh.
So this was my experience. In the meantime, we got involved with my brother into real estate. So I had a very heavy real estate exposure. And actually, during the course, I was doing my job with initially Zenith, then later Northern Trust. We had at one point had 66 apartment units. So we are managing 3 buildings at one point. So we did a pretty good job, and that was a very much uplifting to our, shall we say, economic well-being, financial well-being, these investments. Now, after I actually left Northern Trust some years later and come here, and I am running, actually not the first time, not second, 3rd time for Senator of the United States.
Senator.
So it's my 3rd attempt. 2020 was first, then 2022, 4 years ago, and now it's my final and last attempt. So we'll see where it goes. But that's my just rudimentary introduction. So my experience was really with real estate and with IT profession. This is something that I'm totally new to. I never was in politics, and I don't intend to be, proclaiming that I'm a politician. I'm not. I'm just a common sense man that I like to serve you and work for you. And I think if I get it right, if people get it right, it should be about common sense. If we get too deep into the politics, we get into maybe a wrong track sometimes, because politics is very complicated to say the least. I don't want to overemphasize or score the situation. Nonetheless, let me then quickly explain about my program, okay? Because actually, every time I'm running, I'm changing a little bit too. Last time I was running, my logo was MASA, Make America Safe and Secure Again. Because some 4 years ago, we had a lot of problems with the country. Everything was on fire. Total breakup, I would all even venture to say, of safety and rules of law. Nonetheless, now after the 4 years, things have changed a little bit, and I actually changed my approach to this. So I came with this concept of magna mula. As I said before, MAGNA stands for domestic policies, and MULA is for foreign policies. And I will concentrate, I said, on MAGNA, but I'll explain both. What MAGNA is for is about 7 pillars of my agenda. And what we are doing, we started in July, publishing newsletters. You got a handout, there's about half a dozen or 7 of them so far. And we are concentrating every month on one of the pillars of the agenda. So 7 of them, and I will read them to you. It's right over there as well, but I'll read them to you because they're very significant, what they are. I'll look actually at the last one, because we slightly modify the order, and then modify a little bit the verbiage for these pillars. But the first one is about abolishing taxes on real estate properties. Second pillar, abolish taxes on all Social Security income. Third, abolish IRS taxes on retirement income. Fourth, no federal taxes for individuals under age 23 or under 26 for full-time students and married couples. 5-year tax holiday for all new small businesses. 6, free prescription drugs for seniors, disabled citizens, and veterans.
Well, free
Prescription drugs for seniors,
you say, for free?
Yes.
free.
Free.
You get first 3 of them for free?
No, free.
Oh, well, all of them,
F-R-E-E.
Free, all prescription drugs.
all of them.
I'm saying 3 groups, special groups, okay?
Yeah, well, that's very good, seniors,
Yeah, okay.
seniors for sure should
And the
be
last one, okay,
cared for.
to restore dignity through hard work and ownership. I will just work for you as President Trump for free. So I'm not there to make any money on this business. Okay, I'm not advancing $2 million because I want to recoup $4 million in the next 4 or 6 years, okay? I want to work for free. I believe that during my course of life in the United States and with my small business we've had, you know, I was successful enough, I want to repay in kind to my adopted country to actually give some tangible input into this country, okay? So that's why I'm running it, and I would like to do it for free. So I really want to work for you. You will be my employer, and you don't have to even sign a paycheck. How about that? Okay, so these are my MAGNA pillars. And MAGNA stands for, if you probably looked at it already, stands for Making America Greatest Nation Again. I know it's a little bit of a derivative from MAGA, but MAGA to me is a little bit of a kind of very generic and all-consuming and not very specific. So I added to it N, Greatest Nation, because that's what we really want to do, okay, to accomplish, okay. And the MULA is my foreign policy. And this is, I want to tell you, this is a Pandora box, because what MULA stands for is a PTCS doctrine. President Trump calling shots. That's not what they are today, okay? I want to tell you something. But my challenge is, and I think it's a challenge of the country, we have to go in that direction. MULA stands for Making the U.S. Loved Again. And I mean it, not hated, not feared, loved again. Because that's how we establish ourselves in the world, and we are still remembered from that perspective of giving people, first of all, not just the form of kindness and
Or charitable, United States.
I don't want to say charitable, but we were champion of human rights, human causes, and we were against human suffering. There was a lot of trust in this, a lot of confidence that was actually, people were expecting, or giving us and expecting in kind, okay? So this is very difficult. And PTCS, I told you, President Trump calling shots, I'd like to stand it for parity, treat everybody equally. If he's the lowest one, smallest one in the room, give them the respect, okay? Treat them with priority as an equal. PTCS, T stands for trust. Like, unfortunately, we have, I think, lost that trust, and we need to recoup it. We have to have the goodwill, that transcends across the world, from the United States. That's what we were known for. That's why I came here, that Lady Liberty, in New York Harbor meant something. I would like this to be a still beacon of hope for all of us, okay? I know change has to change, a lot of things have changed, and I say it's a very challenging issue, and I want to, at moments, stay away from it, and I explain why. Now, I told you, PT, CS is cooperation. We have to cooperate with everybody. We cannot rule by sheer dominance, by giving orders. We need some cooperation. People have, as equals, they expect that we be cooperating with them. That's what every state is about. They want to work. They try to find the middle ground, and that we should be working in that direction. And S is stability. Now, what else would you expect? A little bit of peace, stability, that that your next day tomorrow, you know what you're gonna do, where you're gonna see your friends, enjoy your life, okay? Whatever your pleasure is, but nonetheless, we have to have stability. What we have today, I don't want to overemphasize it, but PDCS maybe stands for more for power, treachery, PDCS, coup d'etats, and sanctions. I want to tell you, we can still fly with this. We can do it, and I don't know how long it will take, but the world is changing. I don't know if you know about BRICS, what's happening, okay, where the direction they are going, but it is a counterforce to the United States. And we have that opportune moment. Let's take a step back and look at these principles of total trust and confidence that people were actually initially, and for longest time, we were relying on the United States. So we have to modify that model. I know it's a challenge. I'm calling it not for, shall we say, some exotic reasons, PDCS, to be President Trump calling shots, because he's the guy that can change his mind in 24 hours. And he has shown that. He has shown that. He's doing what he's doing right now. I know that he's trying to do the best for our country, and he wants to project and probably do it in an expedited manner as well. But we have to look at it from a different perspective. So, because it is such a challenging issue, and I believe, this is a very interesting topic, but let me ask you this question. When you go to buy your food, whatever you do you actually consider or talk about foreign policy? No, you are looking into your wallet. Can you afford it? And what's happening today, what dominates the discourse today, is actually more than anything else, is the affordability. High prices, being in housing, being in food, okay? Inflation that is going to start kicking in. We have also a lot of issues generally with control of our housing. It's skyrocketing. What your parents could do and buy with a single salary is unimaginable today. It takes two salaries to buy a house. People delay even their marriages, etc. Buying a house almost becomes like a dream. We need to change that. And the way to do it is actually not by foreign policy, because that's important. I don't deny it, and I'm going to be doing it when I get to the next stage, because it will be, I'll be asking a lot of questions. I don't deny it, but for the moment, I want to help people. I want them to share what was always theirs, the house that they own, the money that they put into Social Security, that's theirs. It's not there to be stolen, because you don't maybe realize that, but a lot of countries around the world don't have real estate property taxes. Poland is an example. And Poland can afford it and do it wonderfully, as the gentleman indicated, without having property taxes. You know, there is a different ways to do it. And other countries in Europe even, they do it as well. Why United States? But this is a legalized theft. I really look at it as theft because this is your house. You shouldn't be paying a rent on your house that you own. You know, and what's getting worse, you paid your, per share, you paid your mortgage, 3 years later, you are retiring and your house is yours, 100%. Well, you find out you cannot afford it because real estate taxes in the meantime have jumped so high that you don't have enough to pay for real estate. Either you downsize, sell your property, or I don't know, maybe you're lucky enough that you can find another source of income at the moment. But that's where we are. That's not where we want to be. The same goes with Social Security. It's a double taxation. You putting your money into the fund day one when you work in a job, it's not money put before taxes, it's money after taxes. Then you retire, you want to take it back. Oh, Uncle Sam, give me some more money. I need your dough. Double taxation. That's wrong. That's wrong. These are your money, you managed it, and it was for your benefit when you are retired. It should be out of limits. In the meantime, what happens is a different story, but nonetheless, we should not be penalizing people for putting it and later by taking it out. The same goes with any income. If you were lucky enough, if your company allowed you, you maybe put your 401k money into some sort of stock market, situations, and you benefited. Uncle Sam is ready. Give me money on your income. But you know what? If you lost the money, they will not give you credit. Okay? So it's a theft. It's a real theft. You gambled with your money. And now when you are ready to, take it back, and utilize it for your purposes, you have to outgo some expense. That's intolerable. The same thing goes now here with young generation of people entering the job market. We don't want to penalize them with taxes on the day number one. Give them a chance to build up some equity, to, actually
get a footing.
Make it, life should be affordable. And you cannot make it affordable by, taking your taxes on the day number one. Okay, so that's why the 23 limit, 26 for married couples or students. Same thing goes for businesses. 20% to 30% of businesses fail during the first couple years. Why? Because they cannot afford it. Taxes, all that is crippling. That's not right. Give a chance for a business to establish it, and forget about taxing for the first couple of years. I am talking about small businesses because if we're talking about multi-million-dollar corporations that don't know what to do with the money, that's a different story. Okay, and 70% of businesses in the United States actually small businesses. Believe it or not, they may be kind of shocking. It's not that they control 70% of the wealth, because that will change dramatically. It may be not even 70%. It may be that the other 1 or 2% actually control 90% of our wealth in the country. It's something wrong with that picture. But nonetheless, don't penalize, these new businesses. Give them a chance to establish it. That's why I think the move on Magna is such a tremendous opportunity for us all. If somebody doesn't see it, then I don't know what to offer to American people. Because this is at the bottom, your pocket, your money. And I'm waiting, I'm trying to work for you. That your money will work for you. You can establish it. Your next generation will be in a better position to start a life. And unfortunately, and I want to tell you that actually in the circle of Donald Trump, there's a lot of criticism, even Vance, Vice President Vance, even Susie Wiles, they're telling him, stop working with the foreign policy issue, okay? That should not be dominating, especially because we have midterm elections coming up. Let's concentrate on domestic issues, economy, etc. Make sure that it's helping for us all. Today, I just read a transcript regarding what the state of the economy is. And about 60% of Americans that tell point blank, it's going in the wrong direction. It's not to our expectations. That's a huge number, 60%, okay? They have a fear that we are losing control of where it's going. Yeah, for the moment, sections may be working, but I'll try to explain later, where it can end up with this approach. Nonetheless, 1/3 tells the pollsters, we are worse off. If it's overstretched, I don't know. Sometimes these stats don't come from all the reliable sources. But if I were to believe it, if it's 1/4, 1/3, these are huge numbers. If people believe, and not everybody has a chance that I was able to, having real estate, build up equity, and come up a little bit on the top. I'm not rich by any means, any stretch of the means, I'm not. But I am, doing well enough that I can do what I'm trying to tell you. What I do it for free. So people actually are not all that lucky. If they rely on their jobs, it's not going anywhere. If you watch, how salary has increased over the last 50 years, and how cost of living has increased, these are astronomical comparisons. It's literally the increase in less salaries is stagnating for decades. Okay, whereas the cost of living, housing, etc., food is skyrocketing. So this is where I stand on the domestic issues, and I want to concentrate. I'll be with you honest. I want to actually avoid, if I can, the mullah, because it is a challenge. It is something that we're not doing right now, but we have to. We have to alter our course, because ultimately we'll pay for it a very, very heavy price. I don't know it's going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I hope it never happens. But what is at the stake of this, they want to tell you, they'll tell you, taking oil from Venezuela, this and that, Greenland. But it's more than that, more important. What actually gave us the lift for the last 50 years, actually from 1943, when Bretton Woods was established, dollar as a reserve currency. That's what at stake. Right now, we are at the verge of losing that reserve currency status. And that's what the bottom of all these things. They'll tell you, it's narcotics, this is a bunch of BS. It's really, when you start looking at it, analyzing, we are afraid that the dollar will lose its status. Now, what's here very critical, and why oil isn't here, and I probably should ask you, well, why we are fighting for oil in Venezuela when we have enough of oil? We have now the biggest producer in the world. We don't need any additional oil. What are we going to do with this? We're not going to be putting twice as much of gasoline in your tank. I don't think so. Why are we using oil here as a scapegoat, or the, racketeering, traffic racketeering, whatever, heroin traffic, fentanyl, whatever it may be? Why are you using it? Okay. Well, try to explain to me, why is that oil is so important here in this? Why are we after this oil? Do you know why? Does anybody have an inkling?
I have an idea.
Huh?
I have an idea.
Yeah. Somebody heard about a term petrodollar. At some point, about 40-some years ago, it was established that in the oil trade, oil transactions, in order to buy or sell, you have to have dollars. So what it means, that's where the term comes, petrodollar. What it means, if somebody wants to buy or sell oil, you have to buy American dollars. What do? You buy your treasuries, etc. And so you actually kind of loan money to the United States for a very low price, for very low, we call it interest rate, but nonetheless, we were benefiting from it tremendously. So all international banking hubs were, using this as a form of, high volume transactions. So money were always on demand. We could print them with no repercussion of inflation, etc., because world needed them. Today, with the BRICS, it's changing. Venezuela, and other countries are doing the purchases or exchanges, buying oil not in dollars, but in yuan or other local currencies. That's what's at the bottom of this is. No one's gonna tell you that. But, you know, you dig deeper, talk to people like Jeffrey Sachs, John Yushheimer, and they will explain to you. You know, even Colonel McGregor, that is McGregor, you talk to them, they'll explain to you. The dominance of use the reserve currency dollar is actually, right now, it's a scary proposition, but it may be lost. And it's expedited. Why? Because we are weaponizing the dollar. Oh, we cannot freeze your assets, whatever billions of dollars you have in the international community. It's ours, and we're gonna even use it because Ukraine needs it. You know, for longest time, it was an agreement that the money that we put into that system, it's a sacred money. No one is to be touching it. Now, at our will, we decide we're going to use it and weaponize it because you cannot do transaction, you can do whatever will stop you from doing normal business that was transacted for decades, and no one questioned it. Now, starting with 22 in Ukraine, 23 with Venezuela, we are changing that course. That, I think, is dangerous. That's a slippery road because you cannot have it both ways. If you want to weaponize it, God bless you, but expect that people will be cashing in and turning back your treasuries. You don't want the United States to be flooded with people selling back treasuries to our, you know, to the United States. All of a sudden, we're gonna have inflation without, I don't know, maybe worse than, what did it go? The German Republic that had the Weimar Republic, maybe even worse than that, where they were using the paper for actually purposes of putting it into fire, you know, heating up the room because
It was worthless.
it was worthless.
Went to
I'm
zero.
not going in that direction. It's going to happen, but you know, we don't even want to get there or give them. So right now, I guess Trump is doing it in expediting fashion. He wants to force people to go to the petrodollar. He's not saying very loudly, you know, but that's what it is. You just tell me, why would you want that oil?
So you say the petrodollar is gonna transact for oil to oil?
Well, it wasn't like that.
I mean, that's what they're trying to do is?
That's what I think they're trying to recover because actually petrodollar is part of it's a backbone of the reserve currency, dollar being the reserve currency.
Money to oil.
Money, it is about money. It's about, you know, saving the dollar, literally. Petrodollar is only a vehicle, but there are other vehicles that are used. But you know, the reserve currency dollar, it is at the bottom of this. It is. No one's going to tell you because that's scary, very scary. You know, with the way BRICS are behaving, how they are establishing, they are transacting, it is, you know, world opening. It's and we fight in that world? I don't think so. I know we have 750 military bases at our disposal at our command, and we can almost do anything we want anywhere in the world. Because do you know how many military bases has, as an example, has China in the world? How many military bases they have?
I don't know.
No.
We have 750, maybe 800. Okay, in 90 or 100 countries. They have one in Djibouti. I think it's.
Africa?
In Africa, yeah.
Yes, in
And
the
they are
Horn of
sharing,
Africa.
we are sharing it actually, they are sharing it with the United States somewhat. There's one. Russia has none, has none. So you tell me who wants to conquer the world by brute force, you know, because they have the military power to convince the world that, you know, don't, you know, be too abrasive because it may end up badly for you. And it shows. It shows. There's no question about it. The United States plays the game, and there's no way right now to counter it. But we have to look at it. Making U.S. loved again, I think, is the bottom line. I'm telling you, it's not easy. It's going to be challenging because we're not there. And actually, don't see even a vision at the moment. But we'll have to alter our course. There's no question. If somebody denies it, they are denying reality. You know, Does anybody know what BRI stands for? BRI. Does anybody here heard the terminology
I've
BRI?
seen it, I don't have any idea what that, but I've seen that.
BRI.
BRI,
BRI, yeah.
Great.
Belt and Road Initiative.
what?
Oh,
Belt and Road
no,
Initiative,
this is
okay?
famous.
This is a Chinese way of actually conquering economically the world.
Belt?
Chinese Belt and Road Initiative.
What's that first word?
Belt.
Belt, belt,
Belt.
like my belt.
Belt
Yeah, belt.
and road initiative.
Belt, yeah, belt around the world. That's what it
Belt
really means.
around the world.
Yeah, road, belt and road initiative, because they are primarily building roads, building railroads and electrical infrastructure. That's where they go. They go to a country, they don't ask what your ideology, what are human rights records. They are telling them, well, you know what, if you want to build a port, if you want to build a railroad on the road, we'll help you with that. We'll provide you with whatever credits are necessary, and we'll accomplish.
They built the airport as well.
Pardon me?
The biggest airport in Turkey was built by China.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about you, but I was in China. I know what China looks like. I worked with a Chinese guy for 20 years at Northern Trust. I know the mentality, and I tell you, beware, beware. I know it maybe
Beware? What?
beware,
Beware.
beware. Okay. They are. You know what? The Chinese philosophy, has not ages, has millennia to prove. The wisdom, that is behind it is sometimes very deep, and they're working with it, and you can see it, sense it, feel it when you are there, when you talk to them, and you can see it how they even behave internationally today, with a reservation, very carefully, methodically, and all the same thing may even apply to Russians, although everybody hate. I'm a Pole, I probably would be the one that would be, putting diggers, first, the Russians.
Yes.
I have a different attitude, that are a little bit more, I would say, thought out methodology of approaching the world, and also not,
And unify.
it's something that is compatible with the rest of the world. So we have to do something. I'm telling you that it's not going to happen overnight. I'm calling it President Trump calling shots because he is the one that can do something like that. He proves it. He does something today, tomorrow it changes. Okay, and he uses this strategy maybe to keep people guessing, where he's going, whatever it is. Sometimes it sticks, sometimes it doesn't. But he is the one that can, at the end of the day, do that. But at some point, somebody will tell him. It has to be. I know that military industrial complex right now that loves these wars and chaos everywhere is probably the one that's pushing all the buttons. Go to war here, over there, take it over this. No what? Just hold it. Because we were working for ages, for decades, to build relationship using NATO or European Union for that matter. We used them, okay? And they were relying on us. At the end of the day, today if you looked at it, looks like maybe they are going to be thrown under the bus. They're on their own. You cannot do it to your own friends, okay, that were relying on you and actually, for the most part, following your orders, even at their own expense, and they realized it. But they thought that that friendship, that expense is worth because they will be, defended. When it comes to it, the United States will be there to help them. Well, maybe it's changing. So we have to do something with it. And I'm telling you with honesty, Trump doesn't need to worry in his terms. He may be non-issue, but there will come a time, and someone has to have that vision, that it's coming, writing is on the wall. The BRICS, the PRI, and whatever else they are doing, people are going, and everybody will tell you, South America is a good example, because you go country to country, what they build, with the ports, with the railroads, with the electrical infrastructure, it's amazing. It's amazing. And everybody wants to go, well, the United States did. No, We just wanted to change the regime over here. We don't like your ideology. You are not following the human rights. You are this. Well, you know what? You know, a lot of countries around the world, you know, employ all kinds of methods to keep their own population in check. And it's not always very pleasant, okay? But we cannot fight change the entire world because we think that is the right thing to do, you know. And sometimes, if you think, you know, that we are trying to help because we want to stabilize the country and we're going to go with our force even to do that, well, God bless you. You know what? The countries have a right to their own self-determination as well, to an extent. And we should honor that, okay? I'm telling you to this group because it's, you know, you may be having different attitude toward that, and at the conclusion of it, when we start to talk, I would like to hear from you. What is, if there is anything wrong with my approach, let me know how you would challenge it, what is wrong with it, because these are very critical issues that are facing us as a nation. So let's make sure that we understand what we are after, okay? And you know, you are a small group that's very interested, it's at your heart, so tell me, and tell me what you think is a better course of action that we as a country should take. But I don't want to, again, underscore, but I want to, again, overemphasize that my plan for the next 2 months is Magna, is my 7 pillars. I don't want to really spend time on foreign policy. I want to help people with the affordability. I want people to make their life easier. They deserve it. And they worked for their life. We cannot put them on a bus, you know, in the last moment in their life where they should enjoy it. So this is my conclusion. And I guess if you have any questions, you know, let's open it to the floor. But I believe I tried to be honest with you what it is. But again, look at it very carefully, because we are publishing it monthly, starting in July. We started with number 4. Reason is because in 22, we had 3 other issues. It was not called Straight Talk with Casey. It was called at that point, Casey's Key Point. A little bit French-like looking point. Nonetheless, you know, we had 3 already published in 22. So I thought that maybe by starting with number 4, somebody will ask a question, where is number 3, number 2, and number 1? Well, they are in 22, that's our internet, because all that stuff is on the internet. So I want to leave it at that, you know, and if you have questions, please, because I want to actually hear from you, if you have an especially alternate viewpoint, because to be infatuated with, you know, caressing me, whatever, that's easy, okay? But that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something that will challenge me, then I have to maybe even change my attitude, my approach, because maybe there is something not quite, you know, right, okay? So especially because you're the group that is living in this, and you know, for better or worse, you know, you think it's like your challenge of life to get involved. So let me, you know, help me out, because I want to hear from you, especially if you have a counterpoint of view. So, and it's very, very critical to me that you would help me out with that.
Speak.
So much I have to say. I hope it was it 3 minutes or longer?
That's great.
Yeah?
That's great.
Okay.
We can start with Q&A.
Yeah, but anyway, you know, I'm going to conclude that this, yeah, we have 2 months. I'll tell you, it's a very challenging situation.
Sure is.
We saw it with the signatures. People have, there's a lot of empathy. And I don't know how to explain it, but it's not the same. Not the same that it was even 4 years ago or 6 years ago. It's a little different, even though 4 years ago we had the pandemic, etc., very difficult. But this time is something else is happening. I can see that people are, you know, just giving up sometimes, okay? And then we cannot have that, because if people give up that on our, you know, leadership, administration, that's a bad sign. But so something needs to be done, you know. And that's why I say, you know, let's look first of all to the pockets of the people and make their life more pleasurable, more affordable, less expensive, okay? So, yeah, I'll open up the floor, have any questions. I'll sit down and think.
Okay. My first question, since you wanna focus on domestic stuff, that biggest thing.
Multipolar.
one of my problems is, number one, abolishing property taxes. Is, how you going to pay for that? Before you answer, Trump thinks that he can tariff our country into prosperity. In fact, he mentions that all the time when he's talking. Tariff is one of his favorite words. Tariffs are bringing in massive amounts of money, and he thinks he can fund the whole United States government based on tariffs. And if he does that, then he's probably saying, well, we can abolish property taxes. But there's a problem with that. Property taxes are not the preview of the national government or the Congress or the Senate.
Yeah.
It's a local thing that has to be dealt with
I
locally.
totally agree.
As a senator, your job isn't to deal with property taxes. Your job
Well,
is
tell me, he's trying to do the same thing.
I know, and it's not his purview to do that.
Yeah.
That is a
Yeah, well,
state
okay.
thing, not
So,
a national thing.
United States president can do it, but senator cannot initiate the action. Let me explain to you.
But my point is, what we really need is, to find a way, a balance, like the tariffs, which I work in that industry, I'm a customs broker. And I've seen the way tariffs have really screwed up our supply chains, have put a lot of pressure on businesses, even small businesses that do import.
They are the
and
first one to
export.
go, they are the first one.
Yeah, right. And right now, we are at a critical point where a lot of companies are being pressed because they don't know what their tariff rates are gonna be.
Bingo.
And President Trump's policy of using tariffs to fund our national, all of our national bills and stuff is very fraught with problems.
Yeah.
And the Supreme Court comes out and rules that his YEPRA, his reciprocal tariffs are unconstitutional, which I believe they are, because the law didn't give him that route. And the thing is, tariffs are under they're under the purview of Congress, not under the president.
Yeah.
And when Congress, if you're gonna be a senator, we need to take back that power from the presidency, because the president shouldn't have all that economic power.
Yeah, let's put it this way. Out of these issues that I have here, abolishing property taxes probably will be the most difficult one. And that's not something that you can just vote, you know. You have to provide, you have to change, alter
You
the
have
way.
to do.
Yeah, you have to, because you abolish them, but you cannot abolish financing schools, financing infrastructure. That has to be protected, and you have to develop alternative mechanisms for doing that. Let me just give you, some of my own viewpoints on this, because everybody explains how you're going to do that. You know, it's a state issue, it's not a government issue. Well, somewhere at the start, somebody has to, start poking, into this, but it's serious enough. The president, even not first time, that's not the first time he's saying that, we should not pay real estate property taxes, okay? But somehow he is absolved, I am not. But I want to tell you and give an example that there are countries around the world, they don't have property taxes, Poland including, how they do it. And there are alternate ways to do it. I'm just going to give you an example, not necessarily that we need to develop it, but I think probably would be the best alternative. Though I don't know if anybody heard a term VAT.
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 Value added tax.
VAG?
VAT.
Value added tax.
Value added tax. Okay, value added tax. Does anybody hear of that?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, very good. But see, what is happening, and let me just explain. I'm not here telling you this is the ultimate solution, but I happen to actually like it. When I go to Poland, what I think is tremendous is this. There's a price on a, whatever the shelf, that's gonna how much it goes to. When I go to the checkout counter, that's exactly the price I pay for. They don't tell me that, well, you have a city tax, you have a state tax, special other taxes that you have to pay because they are added on, and so the price is not 5 złotych, price is maybe 6 złotych, when we are done with this deal. And that's what happens in the United States. And it varies even from state to state, some states are lower, some higher, and people even take advantage of it. They even move to other states that are cheaper because of these taxes, like Florida, for example. So what they have instead, and it's not just in Poland, it's across Europe, they have value-added tax. What it means is that before that item is priced, they added a tax to it already, okay? So maybe even you don't know it, doesn't have visible, how much of a tax you're paying for it, but that's how it's done. And to be honest with you, I like that, because, it's done at the very first step across the board, and whoever does it, agrees to it, that's a consensual thing, it's not like, this is what we want, but that's how they are doing it. Now, to do it in the United States, that's a major, major overhaul of our taxing structure. Because what they are doing is, it's not state level, it's not local level, this is actually on a country level. It's actually across all of Europe. VAT, value added tax. If I am, like 100% convinced that's the solution, maybe, okay, but I'm saying you, there are another examples how it is done and done very well. And if Poland can afford it, the country that was, in ruins, financial ruins 50 years ago, and whatever, 40
Well, what you're talking about is the national sales tax that some of the conservatives have been
Yeah,
pushing.
but so when you're saying it's not national, it may be a national, and it probably should be a national, because this way we can avoid this, constant shenanigans of, having this one take a bite. Did you ever look at your tax bill, real estate tax bill, and see who is, taking a bite from your money? Did you look at it? Okay. Did you see even the pensions for your employees in whatever school boards, that pensions even funded ever, and it's a lot of it. Okay, some of it is just what the hell, how the hell happened? But because they have the voice, they can do it and tax you, and you have nothing, you have no recourse. So that's where is a change of heart, maybe, that maybe we ought to look at that outcome. I know in the United States, especially don't tell President Trump, because he thinks that, Europe has no solutions for anything. Well, you know what? They existed for millennia already. We, 250 years will be this year, come July 4th. There's something to be learned. And I also, to be honest with you, I look at everybody, especially what impresses me many times, the people that are maybe not even rich, maybe not even the smartest, but sometimes when they comment, I say, well, it clicks me, well, you are right, no, there's something to it. Maybe we should look at it. So let's look at all the alternatives. Of course, there are other ways of taxing and bypassing it, extracting it from other, sources on the principle, to steal from Peter to pay Paul, etc., because that's what sometimes we are doing, and we are very good at it. But I think we need to change, we have to alter, okay? So this is a very long-term strategy. If I were telling you that this is gonna be done in 5 years, I'll be probably lying. It may be like 10 years or more, longer. But we should be starting a process like that if we wanna be really fair with our people. Don't steal from them. Come, for God's sake, this is not right, okay? That you have to give up or lose your house, you can. Somebody will pay it for pennies, when it goes on the tax sale, okay? Because I know how it works. On my first couple years, we bought a hotel that worth millions of dollars today, and we bought it on a scavenger sale for $80,000. 14-story hotel with terracotta from top to bottom, 400 rooms, okay?
Where was this at?
Pardon me?
Where was the hotel?
That was in Chicago, uptown area. It was
Uptown?
the worst possible time,
Uptown, like around Lawrence Avenue uptown you're talking about?
Yeah. Well, it's, that's exactly what it, Wilson and
know the area.
Sheridan, Wilson and Sheridan.
I spent my whole life everywhere in Chicago.
But we bought it for 80 grand, okay? By the time we were done with it, because we purchased it,
Fix it up.
Texas went up already to $300,000, and they were selling it again. When we were managing it, they were selling it at 300 because we were not able to afford it. We just were pinching pennies to pay 80 grand to buy it, and there were 10 of us. We created a subject escort for that matter.
And the real estate taxes were 200,000?
Well, 300,000 after 3 or 4 years of our ownership, okay?
Well, property taxes are good for businesses that make money off their property. But it's not good for homeowners because you don't make money off
Yeah,
the property.
well, you have a point, you have a point. And
And the whole reason why we have property taxes is
I
because
don't,
during
I
colonial
don't spell it
times,
out. but
colonial
this is-
times you had a
this
lot
is-
of small
this is-
farmers and the farmers
This is
would,
for people like you and I.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm just explaining to you that as a senator, you shouldn't put too much in your weeds with the property taxes. We have other problems that need, that take
Well,
precedent.
Is
Believe
this
me,
list
you know,
meant to
if
be?
you own a property, if you have to find money to pay the tax bill, it's a very challenging issue. I know, I pay
And
how
as a
much.
senator, I don't want you get, I don't, as your, what you call it, constituent, I don't want you to be in the weeds, because this is weeds. We need to think about us as a country, as a senator, what are you gonna do to check the power, the unbridled power of our presidency? Bring the president in, and it's not just President Trump, but we're starting to see Congress give up its power to give it to one person who's a tyrant.
Thank
who
you for
wants
that
to-
comment, thank you for that
And we
comment.
need people in Congress who are not loyal to the party, they're loyal to us as American
If
citizens.
if you read it carefully, I'm never criticizing Trump, I'm being very careful how to stick to him.
Exactly, but what we need to
and
do,
I'm
and it
very-
doesn't matter what, if it's a
I'm
Republican
very-
president or Democratic president, we need somebody in Congress to say, look, that is not your purview,
Yeah.
that is not your
Yeah, well,
power,
okay.
that's our power.
Yeah, okay, and also I'm using two other terms, very, eloquent all throughout, it's really last two issues. America first, even though it's not always America first, even with President Trump's decision, but I'm trying to tell people that we have to protect his America first, because it was, he coined that, okay, he coined that America first. And then also protecting our Constitution. Whatever we do, it should be actually executing down to the last letter, our Constitution. And right now, Constitution is under, I guess, it does not exist, it's subject to interpretation, and that cannot be. We created these laws, being international or our own, our law of the land, Constitution, it has to be applied. Otherwise, we don't have a good compass to work with, okay? And but, thank you for this comment, it is not easy to do, because if you notice, actually, with President Trump, it's more like, what do I want to do today? And that everybody should maybe obey.
Well, a president's job is to go by the
How to
Constitution.
do this, how to check that,
Yes.
it's very challenging issue, because you would think that out of these, what is it, 532, whatever, that's the number, total number of in Congress and Senate including. of lawmakers.
535.
Huh?
535.
535, thank you. That somebody would start challenging him. There are only very few people that are challenging him, okay?
Yeah,
Otherwise-
Rand Paul being one of those out of Kentucky.
Because this has to be at that level. So, yeah, Casey could be one voice, up to maybe 3, 4, half a dozen of people right now, they're challenging, but we need to start that process, okay? It's not something that I even be as bold as I could, emphasize and work on this.
Yeah, because one of the things that really,
It's not gonna be achievable, at least probably during this tenure of this president.
because one of the things that's really upset me about President Trump's administration, and I agree with Rand Paul actually, the senator out of Kentucky, is that threatening Canada, threatening Greenland,
Yeah,
these are our allies, they're a part of our economy,
exactly.
where there is a reciprocal agreement, a partnership that goes a long way. And to treat our allies like that is really wrong. And to be honest with you, Greenland, for all it's worth, is owned by Denmark. And Denmark actually supported us in the 2 Gulf Wars and supported us in other ways too.
Yeah.
And for us to go there and just slap our allies in the face.
Yeah.
And what I really want is a senator to go into the Senate and tell President Trump, look, you can't do stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're going to pass a law and we're going to overrule you, and there are certain things that you're going to have to come to
Well,
us,
let me-
because you know what? Congress has the authority to make war. Congress has the authority to make tariffs. and international trade. Congress should take that power back
Exactly.
from the president.
Exactly.
And you need to stand up to President Trump and tell
We
him there are
don't
certain
have-
boundaries a president cannot do.
Our Congress is not doing the job that was designed to do.
Exactly.
It's been stolen from, and no one has, excuse me, the term, the balls to even upset that, okay? But that has to change. I do agree. Believe me, what you said, as many times I voice as well and tell people, and sometimes people don't have.
So if you're gonna get elected in
They
this
feel
state,
like I'm betraying MAGA.
if you wanna get elected in this state, because there's so much anti-MAGA in the state, you have to differentiate yourself from Trump and his policies. You have to put up say, well, I'm conservative, I'm Republican, but I'm not gonna rubber stamp our president and let him do whatever he wants to do.
Let me ask you this question, because I'm not want to dwell on the mullah, because this is although that's part of this, how to make us, loved or appreciated around the world. If I were to make it a cornerstone of my now campaign, the primary campaign, is it even feasible to do it to overcome the, shall we say, a still overwhelming majority of MAGA supporters that are approving it? Although it's dwindling,
Right now, mullah is the most important thing, not your local domestic stuff. And I'll tell you the reason why. One, Illinois is a very huge importing state. Chicago is one of the biggest ports in this country. A lot of businesses here rely on international trade. A lot of them. A lot of people who are employed by companies in this state rely on international trade. Trump is really upsetting that.
It's very much
Okay,
upsetting that.
that's affecting us on a state level that shouldn't be. That's one thing, and because there's some things that are so intertwined you can't separate domestic from international, especially in a state like Illinois.
So what
in
you're
fact,
saying-
what he's doing, he's hurting our importing businesses here in Chicago, which were a very a large international trade, and he's also hurting our farmers. Because now our farmers can't export their products because countries are saying, well, we don't like the reciprocal taxes or tariffs that Trump is imposing us.
So we're gonna
So
go
we're gonna
somewhere.
buy our soybeans instead of
Brazil.
from Illinois, we're gonna buy our soybeans from somebody else. So he's actually doing two evils here. And that is very, very bad. So if you wanna carry the vote in this state, you're gonna have to
So what you're
differentiate
telling
himself
me
from his
is that-
tariffs
that-
and start concentrating on how this can be improved for our local economy, not only in Chicagoland, but for downstate Illinois farmers who have to export their goods.
So what you're telling me, if I were using not just MAGNA, but also the foreign policy, tech, whatever, tariff sanctions, whatever you may want to call it, as an argument that is actually destroying our Illinois economy, our businesses, okay, that would be a helpful thing to do. That for us at this juncture, it may be.
Well, look who you're running against. You're running against Raja, Krishnamurti.
Wait.
And that's what he's doing.
Yeah, well,
So-
you know what,
right,
we took the next stage.
Yeah.
Right now, for me, it's not Raja, whatever you
Yeah,
want
I
to
know,
call
it's a lot of other
To me,
Republicans.
maybe it's Don Tracy, maybe it's Caporelli, or somebody else.
Yeah, but I don't know their platform. You're the first person I've actually listened
Well,
to.
here, this is my platform.
No, but I don't know their platform, so I don't know how to
Oh,
differentiate.
you know what, I looked at a website of Tracy. And one of the statements like he had on his website was, "I would defend your dreams." And I said to myself, Don, sometimes I have nightmares in my dreams. Do you want to defend my nightmares? So, but sometimes politicians can be very vague and people don't look at it, I'm trying to be very open, that's why I do this, and I'm trying
And
to.
then you got the immigration issue, which is very, very big.
Yeah.
Chicago has a huge immigration.
And if you look at actually at my 2022 edition, it was a lot about immigration. Actually, the key article about migration policies, how I change.
And tell us a little bit about your
It's
immigration
in Spanish. It's in Spanish.
Okay, well, tell us a little bit about your immigration policy.
Pardon me?
I want to hear more about your immigration policies.
I'll tell you. I am actually immigrant, okay, but I came
I know
here
you are.
legally.
That's
I
why
was
I'm
invited
asking the
both.
question.
It took 10 years before I became finally a citizen. And I believe this is a country of immigrants, and if it's ever gonna survive from the depopulation of major countries in the world, except for India, it's because we are a country of immigrants, we accept immigrants. But let me explain to you what my vision is for the immigration, and that's one of the reasons probably why I voted also for Trump as well. Because we have to have a very good control of our borders. If we don't have borders, we don't have country. What happened during the last 4 years, when I open border policy, that was a disastrous move. You cannot think that people that are coming because they can start voting with actually with registration, even being a U.S. citizen, that's going to benefit their country. So this works to detriment. So I'm totally opposed against. You have to go, and we have a lot of things on the books that are already protecting it. Although our immigration policies are outdated, 100 years old. But in my article that I have in Spanish, explain how I want to do it. Actually, I would like to establish that in countries that are, have a lot of immigration, candidates, etc., that immigrate, from which people immigrate in large numbers, we should have actually our own offices. I call them recruitment offices. So you start vetting, not when they come at our border or in the United States, you vet them in their country. We look at our list. This is the kind of people we're looking for because these businesses are shortage of this or that manpower, and this is what we need. And you compare with the qualified candidates. You do the vetting right in that country, okay? Not in the United States, not at the border. When you come to the border, you already have a permit to enter the country. That's how it should work. And this should be actually a modern day approach to immigration. Because you don't want to control masses that will just walk over the water and claim that they are citizens or they so to be citizens. This is wrong. This is fundamentally, you don't have a border, you don't have a country, period. So I'm totally opposed to it. And this is a solution that I am proposing. I'm not touching it because, everybody's gonna tell me, oh, what do you think about, safety, this and that. Yeah, I touch all these subjects. Go to 22, on my website, you can go to archives and read all about it.
Okay, well, I do have one
Joe,
more
do you have a question?
Well,
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to
take turns.
I don't want to.
Well, I had a quick question.
Okay. Go ahead.
One was, is there any priority implied by the ordering here, or
Why was it a priority?
Well, is there? I mean, these are your 7
I
points.
tell you, because
Yeah.
I thought at numbers, from a pocket perspective.
Yes.
And people may realize it or not, but the highest number, the most expenses of it is actually property taxes. Because you're talking about, tens of $1,000s. I know myself situation, what it is, but I think that was more on the order of importance from a dollar perspective.
So that's number one on your list, I see.
Initially I had a little different order, 1 and 2 were reversed, or 2 and 3 were reversed, but we are using right now this order. And I think going down, what's important is for the benefits that you are establishing through your life, Social Security. So I want to make sure that it's also protected, the big numbers.
So there is kind of an ordering here. I mean,
yeah.
if you could pick one, it would be number one. That would be the thing.
But I tell you, I don't want to dwell immediately just on number one.
Okay.
This is going to take 5, 10 years at the very least. But some of them, it's a question of actually just voting, convincing the colleagues, establishing a coalition, a Congress of people, look, you're right, we shouldn't do double taxation, let's be done with a stroke of a pen, okay? And a lot of those here situations, I like that, you know, 5-year tax holiday, what's wrong with that? Everybody is using it, a lot of countries, Poland too, is also using
What was it, a tax?
5-year holiday, tax holiday,
For new
5-year
business.
tax holiday.
for corporations?
New
So
business.
For small businesses that establish themselves,
First 5 years, no taxes,
No
to
tax.
let them get started.
let them get started.
Okay.
Yeah,
How do
the
you
same thing
qualify
with
that?
actually with the young people, like in.
What's a new business?
Yeah, how do you qualify that?
And
Are you
that's
income limits?
small business, that's small business, okay?
Oh, okay.
I'm not talking about,
He's telling you right there,
so, and also young people. These actually,
small business.
these two are used in
Very,
Poland as
very
well,
vague.
okay?
Huh?
So take them, whatever you like, you call them socialists, whatever, but we should work for the people, with the people. And I wanna tell you, if there's anything I wanna convince you of, I am not here because I'm totally just Republican, I have Republican conservative views, and it probably differ quite a bit from what President Trump is going to do today, but I'm here to work with the people, for the people, okay, because this should be the bottom line of us. This is our Constitution was written, okay? We the people, okay? And I wanna overemphasize it again, because if we're gonna get into the quagmire, you know, being party, this is, if you look at it, is something for everybody here. Democrat, Republican, Independent, doesn't matter, okay? But you'll find your own pocket here in that list, okay? So I wanna make sure that, make that point, okay? Go ahead, keep.
Well, I mean, that was my good question, and, I do agree with what was said earlier that, it kind of bugs me that nowadays people, they focus on the president, and the Constitution makes the president, if you just read the Constitution, the president is a relatively weak, I mean, we have 3 branches of government, but Congress is supposed to do a lot of this stuff, and they've basically given power, handed out power to agencies and to the president.
Including declaring war, so.
Yes.
Where's the last time that actually Congress declared a war?
So it is, I mean, I think Congress should be stepping up. People are just complaining, why isn't Congress trying to
I
do
totally
something?
agree, there's only half a dozen of congressmen
Yeah.
that are really steadfast about it, and I would be like one of them, that, look, we have already law of the land, and it's a beautiful document, you know, called
Yeah.
Constitution. We should follow that, we should really follow that, okay?
So if there's
Is
an
it-
immigration
Is it
problem,
the Constitution, the Bill of Rights? We
Yeah.
have a framework that we really, and the rest
Yeah.
of the world was actually copying us. You
Sure.
don't know what the next country of the United States was where their Constitution adopted US Constitution? Do you know what that country is? Do you wanna guess what the country is? Because, you know, after United States.
I'm not saying because you know.
Oh, you mean a
what,
constitution like ours?
Soviet Union or what?
Well,
No,
Philippines,
it's-
actually, the Philippines has a constitution very
Yeah.
much similar to ours.
But the next one after United States was Poland, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
Poland, yeah.
Poland
They
has like-
adopted the US
One
Constitution.
year.
Oh, I see.
1791.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so right after. you
Yeah,
know.
but the Philippines had actually adopted their constitution before you adopted yours.
Yeah, well,
Well, Argentina also copy Constitution, American Constitution, I think.
I'm just saying the very next one, because a lot of people adopted it, you know, and it's something to behold what's in that document. And what you're telling me is exactly what I am trying to say. If you look even, you know, in my comments here, let's see.
Well, the whole basis of the US Constitution
Okay,
is
here.
a balance of power to keep one person or a group of people from overriding the will of the people.
I don't have my glasses, but maybe I can read it.
Which one?
My campaign New Year 2026 resolution pledge to all people of Illinois and all of America, we the people, for the people, and with the people, we will make America first again, along with our Magna Mula agenda and with the guidance of our Constitution and by the grace of Almighty God. Guidance, I changed actually, that was to be by a law of the land. Somebody was supposed to change it, they never did, it got changed. A last version was a little different, a little bit stronger, law of the land. The guidance is fine, you know, but it's guidance, but law of the land is more, you know, forceful. But
I would
unfortunately,
use the law of the
Huh?
land because the laws can be changed. But our Constitution is based on inalienable rights given to us by our Creator, as Thomas Jefferson would have
Yeah,
said.
well, you know.
So you're the original written, right?
Yeah, but this is my last words of a pledge, okay? It's,
Okay.
and I tell you, I'm using it first, America first, to kind of defend Trump, okay? But I realize that he's the one that is virtually breaking it, okay, many times, okay? So I see your point, and I just sometimes I wonder, and that's why it's a good group to test, what would you do? What would you do? Because maybe I should be a little bit more vocal, forceful. Look, I'm with President Trump, but these policies are not gonna help us out because it's destroying our small businesses, it's doing this and that, etc. Okay? So, there is an argument to be made, and it's a very good argument. If you think that businesses are leaving, people are leaving Illinois, why? Because they cannot make it, you know, in Illinois, because a lot of these small businesses, you know, are actually, tariffs took them down, okay? That's what happens.
So maybe you ought to add to your motto, make Illinois great again.
Well, only if he's running for governor. I mean,
Well, but an Illinois senator,
Yeah.
By the way, another Polish guy is running for governor.
Yeah,
Yeah, because my point is, property taxes, if you're running for state senator or governor or a state congressman, yeah, you could put that in the forefront. Because property taxes really are a state issue, not a national issue.
yeah, but the way I actually wanted with looking at the Southern Gate, it should be probably a national issue to do
Yeah,
it.
you can't do that, because not only do you have a national, a country, you have certain powers delegated to the states. And that's another thing
Well,
too. The national
yeah,
government should keep
that is very,
look,
very, very true.
the federal government should keep their nose out of local things. Now, property taxes, I don't like them, I think they're abusive, but that is that's a state level issue that needs to be resolved. It doesn't need to be resolved by the federal government.
Yeah.
The federal government has other issues to deal with. So property taxes, to me, if you're running for a state senator, or if you're running for governor, or a state congressman, or county commissioner, or something like that, that would be a more valid thing. But property taxes cannot be solved by the federal government. And in fact, to be honest with you, I would say that's just a waste of your time and energy.
Yeah, well, it's,
Because in America, you had the federal government and you had the state governments. And the reason why we have such a diverse country, and if people don't like their state, they can go somewhere like Tennessee or Florida that doesn't have property taxes or state income taxes. And then the states who like to overtax people like Illinois, they have to smell the
yeah,
coffee.
you look what you said. You know, if you
Yes.
don't like it, you know, you can move to a different state.
Exactly.
You know, this is not how it should be.
I know
It
it's
should
not
be-
how it should be,
Yeah.
but that's the way it should be. And the federal government, in fact, not only do you need to limit the powers of the president,
You know,
but you need to limit the
that-
powers of the federal
that sitting
government
here
as well.
doesn't necessarily mean that I'm gonna be spending my time, but I told you, it may be even past my time in the Congress, in Senate,
Right.
before it can be seriously looked at, okay? But
I'm saying it's not an issue
Yeah.
that,
You know,
as a state legislator, you
For the
should.
sake, for the sake of your campaign, if you put abolish property taxes at the top, and people who hasn't had a chance to talk to you, he will look at that, he will say, Casey doesn't know what he's talking about. So you don't want that to happen, right? It's not good
Well,
for a
you know,
campaign.
you know,
When you don't have a chance to explain yourself, it's not to your
You know,
benefit to hit
this,
that.
this was already, the point is well taken, because when I had property taxes, people thought about a property tax like buying a car, etc. You know,
That's still,
Property, I see,
but that's
no.
still a state level issue.
You don't want
And it's
any
not a federal-
misunderstanding.
Those smart asses were telling me, look, you know,
Can I input my 3 pennies? You are completely right on formal grants, okay? Casey looks at that a little bit from the practical point, how the politics are done. And what you agree with me, that the power of the federal government is much stronger than the Constitution envisions. Can you agree with me? So what Casey is trying to say, that without looking how the federal government can be involved in helping us, you know, cutting down or eliminating property taxes cannot be ignored. And then
And that's the bottom line, that's the bottom line. That's what if I were to explain, and I'm gonna be probably doing it quite often, that federal government maybe has a solution to resolve that issue. We cannot ignore.
They have too much power right now.
Because they can, and I'm telling you, giving examples. Countries in Europe, it's done on a country level, okay, for God's sake.
But we are not in
No.
Europe, we're in
You-
America.
you-
And you have 50 states that have their own state constitutions, their own way of doing things. And the thing
Well,
is, the
that's-
federal government should be limited on what they can do on the state level.
I agree with that,
I agree
but
with you with
if it has to start, and most likely, it probably has to start on the very top. Because otherwise, we're gonna be doing it state by state basis, and one state gonna say, yeah, we're gonna abolish it, the other state, no, we're gonna keep it, you cannot do that.
Well, leave that to the power of the states. Why is a federal, as a person who is potentially gonna be a federal senator, somebody who's in Congress, to me, that's the weeds. You should not be involved in stuff like that should be handled by a state official. You should be involved in stuff that really affects us at the national level.
Yeah, well, you have 6 other, or at least 5
Yeah,
other
have any
points.
other questions?
Yeah. You know,
You can, I have a question, but you can go first.
Oh,
Carol.
okay.
So, it doesn't really say in in both of these editions, but
what doesn't say?
foreign policy, if I have to ask.
Okay, you know, if you looked at initially when I put it, I gave you a number 4 on the top. It was on the top. And the reason it was on the 4 on the top, because it explains the moolah. It explains both. I don't dwell on the moolah because it's a Pandora box, and you can see why. You know, the gentleman tells me, don't be afraid, you know, maybe you should, because there are detrimental effects if we don't do it right now, because we have to point out. But it's, moolah is more comprehensive, and it's really structured totally differently. So I tried to explain it, and only in the first issue. Later on, I always dwell on these individual pillars, okay? So this is why it's so important. So that's where you're gonna find out the PTCS doctrine, what it means. It's somewhere here, right here.
I see.
Yeah, so this is exactly what it explains, okay?
All right, well, apologies for that, but I just wanted to ask, so there are some Americans that I talked to that state that if a foreign country invades another foreign country, but that's wrong, but if the country invades, say, Greenland, because it's right, because it's our destiny, because everything we do is right, so what do you say to that?
That everything we're doing is right?
Like if like for example, we have every right to take the leader of Venezuela away, we have every right to claim Greenland, we have every right to sanction every European Union.
Okay, let me tell you this, to give you a very stark example. We're talking about, we have a right to take Maduro out, okay? I don't absolve Maduro of what he did for the people, how it was handled, whatever, it's a different topic, okay? But for the moment, he was the leader of the country, and that was, you know, recognized by most of the world anyways. Just for a moment, okay, we took our power, enormous power that we have, you know, we created a commando group of people that extracted him and took him in the middle of the night, you know, and killed 100 people in the process. Let me tell you this, okay, you respond to me, I'm not gonna make a statement. A couple of days earlier, President Trump was hosting Mr. Netanyahu. He is actually a fugitive of the international law because the international law tells him that you give him...
International Criminal Court.
Yeah, give him up because, you know, he has done this, and he ought to be in The Hague and show up in front of, not Trump's court, international court, okay? International body that we created to start with.
Well,
You tell me,
we're not a
no, wait, you tell me, answer me, why shouldn't, you know, actually some other country just do that? You know, extract whatever from the United States, he was here, we could have arrested him, or we could extract him from Israel or wherever he is at some point, and handed them over to Hague. What's the wrong with this comparison? You tell me. You explain to me. Is it okay to do it with Maduro, but it would not be okay to do it with Netanyahu.
I mean, it's not really fair because, you know, that yes, Maduro's a dictator, but also we have a person that's like illegally bombing, you know, a territory that everyone feels bad
Okay,
about.
well, that's why they have a, you know, arrest warrant on him because he's bombing, he's doing genocide, and that was all taken into account. The whole thing was. So you tell me, is it okay to take Maduro out, you know, in the middle of the night, because we just actually kidnapped 2 people? Otherwise, the entire power stays intact.
I mean, for
Yeah. So you tell me, what was it? How would you how do you compare these two? That we cannot do, you know, take out Netanyahu, but it's okay to do Maduro because we have the power. We can do it.
yes, that just like you said, like Maduro wasn't trapped to an ICC court, while, you know, the other one, Netanyahu, was basically warned to be against the ICC court, if you know what I mean. But what I'm trying to say is, in my own personal opinion, I think the people of those said countries should topple the dictator, not like a foreign country.
Bingo, bingo, bingo.
So, as far as I understand, the US, if it goes to court, the US defense or Trump's defense will be, we're fighting terrorism. We're fighting narco-terrorism. Nowadays, fighting terrorism is not that big of a controversy because United Nations Charter says you're not supposed to use force or threat of force, except a lot of things, if you feel your country's in danger. So nowadays we're evolved into like terrorism is a danger to your country. So it would be justified to use force against terrorism. I think, I can imagine if it goes to court, the Trump administration defense will be, we're fighting terrorism to protect our country. So it's called narco-terrorism. It will never mention that we to topple a dictator. It will never mention that we want their oil. I think the legal defense will be counterterrorism.
Yeah. You know, let me actually make another point. He was taken out and handed into the U.S. court, and somewhere in New York, whatever. Why not turn him into international body? We created these institutions. Why don't we believe anymore in these institutions? Boeing, United States, the International Court of Justice, these are all our creations. But, you know, if it works for us, it's okay. If it works against us, then we maybe don't want to follow them. Why wasn't he, you know, turned over to court, you know, to Hague? Why? What's wrong with that?
Jurisdiction.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? You tell me.
I think this is just a guess, this is not a right or wrong answer, but I'd probably say, you know, with the president we have now, he wants to show superiority.
Well, that's a total.
To be honest with you, this is one of those areas I do support Trump in, and I'll tell you why. Maduro there was an election last year, but it has now come to everybody's opinion, including the people who give out the Nobel Peace Prize, that the election was stolen by Maduro and he's illegitimate. And not only does the United States hold that opinion, but Canada holds that opinion, and a lot of other countries around the world hold that opinion.
It doesn't hold water in
Let me stop you for a minute.
International law is kind of gray in that area.
Okay. All right. Well,
It's very gray in the area.
No,
Is
it's
he
not
a
gray.
legitimate? Is he a
Sovereign
legitimate
country.
president, or he's not a
yeah, let me
legitimate?
ask you,
in the jurisdiction of ICC.
with
Huh?
your argument.
That's not in
Let me-
jurisdiction of ICC.
Yeah.
Whether someone is
But the thing is,
legitimate
we
or
are not signatories of the
Okay,
ICC.
let me ask you with your own beef, with your own weapon. Didn't Trump say that actually he won the elections in 2020, whatever it was, 2020?
2020.
Yeah, 2020? Didn't he say that? That the election was
Exactly.
stolen from him?
Exactly, but the thing is,
Yeah,
we
why
had a
didn't he-
process,
why
but
didn't
we
he-
had a process in place, and he did, and his own VP, Pence, certified the election in favor of Biden. So we have a process in place.
Wait, no. We had the process, they had the process in place too. That was certified also by somebody. That the body was actually getting wrong information from
But
stolen.
Venezuela, there
We are assuming.
there was a lot of electoral.
We are assuming that, it's okay with the United States, so this is, we cannot apply it to the United States, but we can apply it to Venezuela.
In fact,
You
a
know,
lot of countries, even in South America, even said that the election was stolen by Maduro.
Trump said that the
Matthew,
election
you
was
have a
stolen.
question?
Why didn't he fight for
Statement?
it? Why didn't he fight for it? He should have fight for it.
Let's go to Matthew.
Waiting another 4 years. Waiting another 4
Let's
years.
go to Matthew.
I do have a question, it's not I have other questions related to this topic, but my main question that I originally had was, there's a lot of dialogue about cutting taxes and all that. What services are you in favor of cutting, or how are you gonna come up with that deficit gap?
What services, what do you mean by
If
service?
we're cutting taxes,
What federal services are you looking to cut? Since
Wait,
all
wait,
these-
wait, I'm not talking about
How do
cutting
you
any
cut
services.
spending?
Yeah,
When you
I'm
want
not-
Where's the money come from that you're
Is it more
losing?
debt and more
Pardon me?
inflation? Where's the money coming from if you're not gonna take in tax revenue?
Wait a minute. What's gonna replace that? Because we already are taxing these young people, or that we are taxing the new businesses, where the money gonna come from? You know what? Maybe we should tighten our own belt, okay? There's a lot of ways to look at it, and I'm not even, because everybody wants to ask me, how are you gonna do that? If like I had a staff of 100 people that are looking into these issues, and they are pointing a look at this, he had that, what we call Elon Musk, and he said there's waste here, there's waste there, and he had a ton of people, and still probably didn't identify all the waste. There's a lot of ways to be found, and we can do it. Believe me, if countries that are a lot poorer, don't have military bases, I'll tell you where we can save the money. How much it costs our military budget? Do we need 750 military bases? I don't think so. This is one way of commanding the world, by dominating the world, by having these 750 or 800 military bases. And everybody is not respecting us, I hope, to be honest, with all honesty, because that's what President Trump to hear. Everybody is fearing us, okay? So we are actually exercising the raw power, because we can just overnight snatch a president of a country, and we can select anybody else. Maybe you can go into Denmark, because the lady is against it, okay?
So in theory, you're open to cutting some sort of spending, whether that's
Yeah, I am
less
telling you,
defense
is there
or...
anyone want to cut?
No, you don't know exactly
Our
where
military.
yet.
But President Trump actually sees it increased to $1.5 trillion, okay?
Yeah.
You know what? If we can only go in that direction, I cannot defend that. I'll be honest with you, it's very difficult to defend. Because we should be decreasing our military spending, not just United States across. Now Trump, I will tell you, when he went to Europe, NATO, he told them, well, you have to pay not 2%, but 5%, okay? You know what? I think we are in an stage of the age where actually we should use military as a last resource, not as a source of exercise of raw power, where we command such an overwhelming power that we can scare everybody to death. That's my position, okay? But actually, we're going different direction. So he wants from $1 trillion to increase it to 1.5 trillion. I'm not signing, we'll never sign up for that, okay? I'll never sign up for that. But that's where we're going. We have to use power as an actually last resort, not as a resort where we can command the world from day to day, and everybody is scaring the hell out of us, because that's what's happening right now. That's what's happening right now. Do you want to, if you hear what other countries are telling what they're talking about, how they're talking about us? Did you look at international news or whatever, check what their statements are making? But everybody will say, well, screw it, probably President Trump himself first. I don't give a shit, my rules are my rules, okay, you don't count. You know what, that's not 330 million people that are deciding about the fate of 6 or 8 billion human beings, okay? We have to come to the conclusion that somehow they are part of this equation. They are part of something called common humanity, okay? And if we don't see it, you just look at it, it's very different, because I've been in China, I was in India, 1.5 billion people. If somebody saw poverty, I saw it firsthand, okay? And I never saw poverty to that extent as I saw in India, okay? But I tell you, I was mesmerized by the very fact that these poor of the poor, this last caste, the fourth class, they are doing their business next to Raja or Maharaja, with a 30, 40 foot fence, beautiful, immaculate behind, and they don't storm it, okay?
And they don't what?
They don't storm these walls, okay? They
Yes.
don't break it, okay? Because if it was here in the United States, I don't know, if fence would be not enough, we would have military around it.
Oh, that happened.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous. We have such power to stop a onslaught of a building like that, especially a federal government, that it was an easy chore, if we wished to stop that right away, all those people storming that building.
Well,
That was ants,
I-
ants storming an elephant,
Yeah.
and if the
Yeah,
elephant
I-
wanted to stop
Yeah,
it, it would
I'm
be
saying.
punched just
I'm
like
saying
that.
It happened here, I'm showing you that here, the country, 1.5 billion people, and they don't do that. They don't, you know, to me, it came to realize, I have respect for these people, because they don't, they understand something that maybe a lot of people don't, that maybe we have to, at the moment, accept our, situation and don't demand that because I'm a human being, I deserve better than even you or that person, whatever, that has all the benefits of the world. It's something to be said about it. I don't want to go into the religious aspect, caste system, but I was amazed by that because I could see it in the United States, and you could give yourself an example, that it can happen. They will storm people. You just give them the right moment, the right time, and right, signal. They'll do it. And sometimes we are very close to it. It may happen, and we can have eyes. We can have all kinds of, physical force, but you don't want to put people into that position. Because people can be very quickly turned on, and now, right now I kind of sense that, that we are trying to, don't want to create actually a situation where we want to have a match put into that powder keg, because it can happen, We have something that's very delicate, and believe me, that the Constitution, it's a delicate instrument. And they should be treated very delicately, okay, with,
anything can happen. With a surprise, anything could happen, like you say, a flip.
Yeah. It can, it may never happen, okay, but God bless it, never happens, but, I'm kind of sometimes, with feeling, because I can see, I've been in different places, I've been in South America. My first trip, actually, to a foreign country, you know what it was? Venezuela, Caracas.
Uh-huh.
And you know what? I was impressed when I saw the architecture.
What year did you go?
That was probably 70, I came 67, probably about 72 when I graduated, 73, 74. My first trip, it was what they call it, cruise, cruise. And then on the cruise, they took us to Caracas from, whatever port city it was.
Beautiful.
I was impressed.
Well,
I never saw avant-garde architecture so beautiful. Forget about the hills, because hills come rain, they all slash down, okay? All these, shanties, etc. But in the valley itself, where there's this jewel, Caracas, beautiful architecture, unimaginable. I say, I live in the United States, I don't see that. I never saw it around the world, this kind of.
It is all around the
Dan
world.
has a question. Dan.
Okay. Caracas in '72, they were switching back and forth between two liberal parties, I think, ruling the government until '89 with, what's his name? Chavez. So it was one of the best countries, the richest countries, I think, in South America.
Well, when we.
But that's not my question. So if you become senator, would you have voted for the one big beautiful bill that took money? Well, one thing it did was take money from old people like me on Social Security and Medicare and gave it to the rich, gave it to the 1%. Now I know that Biden did a little bit of that, Obama did a little bit of that, Bush did more. So I mean, it continues. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer in America. So what side would you have been for it?
I'll give you a very straight answer, okay?
Good.
I'll give you a very straight answer.
That's what I'm here for.
Because I have a lot of appreciation for these very rich people, okay? But let me ask you a question. Do they need more money? What the hell are they gonna do with these more money?
No,
Okay?
I don't think they
Yeah,
do.
okay. I think we should maybe start at the very bottom, okay? And if anything is a sign of prosperity of the country is if we expand the size of a middle class. Okay, if they give them, and that's what it is, expand that size of a middle, give them a chance so they can start feeling a little bit better about themselves. Right now they don't. No, I don't. But you know what? and that's something maybe it's hard to admit that, but that's what President Trump is. He commands only the most feared, the richest, and nobody else, okay? That's his style, I can see that,
Yeah.
okay? That's now how we should operate with the rest of the world either, you know, because not every, and sometimes when you look carefully at these countries, when you find out that they were operating, they're, you know, buying these goods, etc., but they have to buy US dollars before they even buy these goods, or whatever they may be, because that's the monetary exchange and, you know, denomination, international denomination, you know, then when they find out that maybe they are poor because they have to buy dollars instead of using their own currency, then it becomes a question, you know, well, wait a minute, you know, maybe these people countries that are poor, we have to give them a chance. So, no, big, beautiful, it's very nice, and I actually, somebody has helped me with this, very nice, put something very flashy about big and beautiful. I extracted something that kind of was along my lines, and I think it was property taxes in it. No, we have to start working with the people and for the people. This is my bottom line. Somebody calls me a socialist, so be it. But we have to work with the society. We are social human beings, okay? And if we don't take this seriously, if we just adhere to the small 1%, and to be honest with you, you know, the rich that you're talking about is 1%. But the industrial military complex that actually originates these wars, forever wars, that's not even 1%. That's like 0.00, maybe 1%. And they are commending, you know, our economy, our military, to all this mischief. I think there's something wrong with this. You know, we are at a stage of our lives, you know, in 21st century advanced. We had all these philosophers, you know, all these different approaches, starting with Marxism, you know, where it was revolution, killing people was a solution, and they tried it and didn't work. You know, maybe we have developed better tools to work together, okay? I know they are not imperfect, you know, sometimes institution or international rules of order, but they are, and we have to start with it. I didn't see anything wrong with the United Nations, but if somebody thinks they are relevant because today, you know, they are not following our orders because we happen to think differently, I think there's a problem with that, okay? And the same thing goes with international treaties. We've signed them for a reason, okay? Because we like to feel safer, you know, by adhering to these, and the international bodies that can administer, like International Court of Justice, okay? I don't think anybody would have a question to answer you if somebody snatched President Putin and took him to Hague, okay? But I don't think there would be a lot of questions if somebody snatched Mr. Netanyahu. And I don't know what would happen to the people that would do it, or anybody would even dare to think about doing it. But that's
a little bit different circumstance there, though. Yeah. He was attacked, and Putin is the attacker.
Well,
there's
you know,
two different things that happen there, even though what it escalated on is not what we want. But he was attacked, and they was attacked violently. Putin is the attacker.
You said BRICS is one of the most dangerous things that America's going to face, because it's going to cause our currency.
And we have to counter.
Well, who does BRICS consist of?
Say again?
Who does BRICS consist of? It consists of Brazil, consists of Russia, consists of China, South Africa, and already they've got other countries like Saudi Arabia, which Saudi Arabia, the reason why you have petrodollars is because Saudi Arabia had an agreement with the United States back in the 1930s. They only sell their oil in United States dollars, and that's one of the reasons why our currency is as strong as it is. So when we fight against Russia, or we support the Ukrainians to fight against Russia, we're actually fighting against BRICS, because we are at a multicultural, a multipolar world. But if we're going to survive as a nation and survive in the economy that we're used to, we're going to have to fight for every inch of that to make sure that we're not overridden by the BRICS.
My question is, do we need to use force to do that, or can we do it the same way the BRICS are doing it? Can we build?
You have to use diplomacy and you have to use force, because when you deal with dictators and autocrats, you have to show force Don't be a Chamberlain. Don't be a Neville Chamberlain. You have to be a Winston Churchill.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Huh?
Well, good luck, because we have 8 billion people around the world, and right now they're kind of facing off, against us, so I don't know. I think we should learn to actually apply the mullah principles.
Well, I understand that. You have to do like Theodore Roosevelt. You have to speak softly and carry a big stick. And right now, Trump is speaking loud, but he's carrying a very small stick.
I use that argument that you're telling me, that maybe Trump is trying to use it to scare the hell out of the people, but on the end of the day, he's gonna compromise and.
Exactly, because to be honest with you, Trump is a bull. When people go against him, he shrivels like a paper tiger. And to be honest with you, and to be honest with you,
You and I agree on that and see it at the end of the day. But people, when they looked at it and study it and they see just exactly what's happening, they don't have time to analyze it, what really he's gonna do at the end of the day. They see it as it is. That's a danger.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's about. That's the 8 billion people. Yeah. Thank you very much for coming. It looks like we should.
Everybody's leaving?
Huh?
Proposal.
I wanna talk to you.
I got a proposal for you
No,
too.
go ahead.
I gotta use the rest.
But it's,
Take things down and.
the mullah is very, very difficult, okay, because I have just a little bit different view of it, but, and I see the BRICS, and what they are doing is, it convinces the rest of the world. Belt Road Initiative.
I didn't come here really as a questionnaire.
That's a good- that's